3.0 now for the first episode.
This is true.
This is like take 3.
This is true. Why didn't you let me do my entrance?
Because we have to do that.
That makes me emotional. They saw how I was nicely dressed, how I got ready for this.
Right, we just got out of work.
We did.
Yeah.
We did just get out of
the duality of our uniforms.
The duality? Yeah.
Duality.
Well, this is like my my suit right now is the equivalent of what you consider a suit right now.
This is like my suit, yeah.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Like that's your Iron Man armor, so to speak.
Alright, that's right. Sharp dressed, dead on the inside, you know.
Dead on the inside still, you know? Sharp dressed is to cover the dead. Dude, I'm the one who looks like I went to a funeral. You know what I mean?
You look like you just got back from a fucking funeral.
Well, speaking of funerals, I will say this is one of the last... Oh, first off, welcome to Envision Podcasting, right?
Yeah.
Well, you said it.
I tried.
Can I have my shot?
No. It's 50-50.
Welcome to Envision Podcasting.
Take 3.
Yep, tape 3. I was actually...
Not tape.
Oh, I think it's a tape.
It's tape.
Well, I do have tapes. I do have the tapes on... You can call them tapes. Videos.
We got parts 1 and 2.
Yeah, so you guys, a little backstory here.
Part 1 we filmed. We had no audio whatsoever.
Correct.
Part 2, the storm cut out our connection, so we, kind of got screwed halfway through.
Correct.
And we noticed after it was a little too late.
Most likely this won't air, but it's great to think.
It's good to think that we actually have it this time.
That third time is going to be the charm.
It's going to be like 10 times,
So, let's, morning. We were talking about funerals, right?
Yes.
The camera. So, you guys, we have finally gotten some new camera equipment. One of the cameras that I did get was from our good buddy Nathan Figura. I can never get his name right. But fantastic director, fantastic videographer, fantastic photographer. If you need anything with a camera, this guy has got you. He is going to be in the link down in the description just because he's put me onto the new camera that I got, and I got it from him. So I appreciate you. Shout out to you, Nate. But yeah, so this is the last time we're gonna have really this Mevo camera.
Finally.
You know?
Thank God.
Well, it's seen a lot of rebrands.
It's seen a lot of shit.
The Jakey Cakes, the JD Podcasting.
This is like our third reboot too for the podcast. Yeah.
This is true. That's
our. Yeah.
No. It's not our. This is mine. Okay. I just have to just put it out there right now. What?
You gotta clarify that.
I have to say it. But we gotta talk about where you have been basically over the last
4 months.
Yeah, more or less.
6 months, basically. Since November.
Because we did the episode with Rufus, right?
There's like a cameo by me.
Yeah.
Very small cameo.
Well, you don't help yourself. You listen a lot.
I listen. I try to talk.
You gotta stand out.
I know.
You gotta...
I'll flash the camera.
Yeah. You flash in the middle of the episode, like every 10 minutes. Is that Dominic's ass? What the fuck?
What is that?
That's gross. Stop it. I lose like 10. We lose 10 subscribers.
We lose like fucking 50 in like 2 seconds.
No, we can't get canceled because in order to get canceled, you have to be famous.
Yeah, we can't get canceled.
So where have you been?
Been working. Yeah, I work a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's
fun. It's really not fun.
Well, you like your job.
I like my job, yeah.
Yeah. So why don't you tell us what you do? Well, you can't go into detail.
I can't really go into
but
detail.
But you can say the basic. You can debrief.
I build things that go boom.
Builds bombs.
Yeah.
Pretty exciting stuff.
Yeah.
And he can't go into detail because he takes his job way too seriously.
I legally can't describe my job.
I
legally can't describe my job.
Legally in sales, you're not supposed to give out any client information. Guess what, you guys? I give out everybody's information.
It's true.
This is true. I could be sued several times over, But talk to us. So, like, what have you been doing, other than just working, because everybody's working, and that is...
I've really just been working.
Hobbies?
No time, really. Just been working.
Got a new sling?
What?
New girlfriend? Newer to the podcast. You were single when we were doing JD Podcasting.
Yeah, this is true, yeah.
You were single when we were doing Jakey Cakes Podcasting. We did it with Jack Flavin. Shout out to Jack Flavin. But yeah, how is being in a relationship now post kind of like high school and all of that where you're settled in now?
It's nice.
Good?
So nice.
He's like, I finally won.
It's so nice.
I got to the end. You guys got to the end of the tunnel. No, it's a good thing, man. Like, I think that, we were talking about this probably like last week or the week before, but relationships do bring a lot of benefit to people's lives. They do, If you ever don't want to work, and you feel like terrible and you feel like you don't want to go in and you think about your significant other, you're like, fuck it, I'm gonna go in.
Wow, this is great.
Yeah, you gotta fake it, you know? A lot of people, like, I feel like, and I was telling one of my buddies about this in sales, it's like, a lot of people, you talk to people and it's like daunting. It can be, really, honestly, like, you know, the amount of mental energy you have to give to people and
It's horrible, especially like your coworkers are fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Coworkers being dumb for sure, and you have to deal with that, and then you have to probably do what they were supposed to do.
You gotta do your job on top of yours. It's just no fun.
Right. Well, and that's why I like sales so much, is because the incentive is what you get is what you worked for, more or less. You know, and I think that like the base rate, you know, idea, the hourly idea, I work on it still to this day. You know what I mean? I have a part-time job just like that while I'm doing sales, and I notice it there just like I notice it, you know, in all other hourly jobs I've ever worked. Is like, we were just saying this. If he works harder than me and we get paid the same, I'm going to be more pissed leaving work. I just am, because I see that asshole who's doing nothing getting paid like 21, 22 an hour while I'm busting my ass getting paid 21, 20, sometimes less. You
You
know?
work a minimum wage, someone's like, you know, screwing the system.
Did you see minimum wage in California?
Yeah, it's like $20 now. You see like every like fast food chains like up their fucking prices too.
Yeah, they had to. They had no choice. Imagine going from $9.75
to 20
to $20 to $11 job.
$20 to flip burgers. That's fucking crazy.
Well, you got to think about their economy, like the state of California.
Yeah.
Right, everything is like so expensive now. Like gas over there is like $4 something a
It
gallon.
used to be like $6. It went down a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I remember those peak COVID prices were different.
Oh yeah.
Or was it? Maybe it was like a year.
Gas is going up here too. Like the
2
other
years.
day, I went to go get gas. It was like $3.50.
Yeah, but that's nothing in comparison to Cali.
Yes.
Cali. I was looking at gas prices because, like you, I was kind of intrigued. Like, okay, so what are they exactly paying for? Well, to get a 1-bedroom apartment in California, just generally across the board. I mean, even if you got one in a crummier area, it's like maybe $1,400-1,500 flat starting, and that is a lot of money. I'm not saying it's not that different here in Connecticut, for apartments, but I'm sure you can find more steals here than you would be
You
able
find
to.
a lot better places here too for a lot cheaper.
100%. Well, would you even want to live in California with like all those potential celebrities and like people that you might see down the street?
No.
I would like it. I think it would be cool, you know, but I think it would also get daunting after a while.
It's like, hey, that's John Travolta. I saw him the last 8 days.
Right. He's like, Domenic, leave me alone.
It's like, why are you following me?
Stop running after me. Leave me alone. Stop it. You're like, I build bombs. We could do something together. We can make a movie about this.
It's like Grease, but with bombs.
Oh, shit. But, yeah, I mean, like, I think, you know, living in a place like that, I think it would be mentally daunting after a long period of time,
Right.
you know, because of the consistent social interaction. I think if you are in a spot like that, like where your job requires it to be socially interactive, a lot of us do working in customer service as well, you know, you have to kind of work more on mentally focusing for longer periods of time, which is really something that I have been struggling with the last 2 months, you know, because I never realized how much energy conversation like takes away. Like sometimes, dude, because I do door-to-door work. Sometimes if I'm doing door-to-door work or I'm closing a sale, I'll get back in my car. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, that's incredible. Or sometimes you'll be on call and you'll have to be like, oh, well, just make sure to reinstall this. You know, you just have a bunch of different things you have to go for. So I feel like just physically, like I worked in a warehouse majority of my like career of like, you know, working. It was physically exhausting for sure. But, you know, you always have the mental. I always love the blue-collar jobs because you got to talk to whoever, you get to laugh, you get to just chill. It was cool, pretty much, you know? But mentally, man, it's like, that's why a lot of salespeople are like, you know, no offense, but a lot of salespeople do not take care of themselves, you know? And I've seen it personally. They are just incredibly overweight, or they smoke a lot of cigarettes, or they just do things that are just not great for their health, you know what I mean? I'm not saying that I'm Mr. Perfect, but I will say I try to stay away from vices when when you're working in sales and marketing. But I saw a cool quote that said, broke people consume and rich people sell.
That makes sense.
I mean, we're all consumers.
To an extent.
Right?
Some are smart about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, and this all comes from experience, like the gas station consumer. You know what I mean? You know how, like, sometimes you go into a 7-Eleven, you're, like, only planning on spending $10, and you walk out, and you spent, like, 40. And you're like, wait, what?
I've seen people fucking walk out with, like, hundreds of dollars worth of stuff.
From 7-Eleven?
When I worked at a convenience store.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's like, they walk in, they're like, I'm just gonna get, like, one thing. $80 later, I'm like, sure about that?
Is it grocery shopping? Was it
Yeah, it's like grocery shopping for them, which is like weird.
Did they have general things at your convenience store, like meat and eggs?
Lunch meat, eggs, milk, half and half.
For some people, that's all they need.
Right.
Because there was a friend of mine who he was like, all I do, this is a couple years ago, he's like, all I eat for breakfast, or for the week, I'm sorry, all I eat for the week is like hot dogs and soda. He's like, I'm set. And I'm like, all right, dude.
I'd love to see what his fucking cholesterol is.
Oh, dude, he's probably
dead.
I haven't talked to him in a few years. I hope you're watching. You remember that? But yeah, it was like, but you know where I found him? Warehouse job. And that is where you meet the most interesting people. You just do.
They're also like different at a warehouse. It's crazy.
Right. Well, you work in a warehouse.
Just about, yeah.
Pretty much.
Pretty much.
Because
I was always working like managerial, like retail spots, and now I'm like in a warehouse. People really are kind of just the same.
Right.
Just different setting. We just don't have to deal with the public.
Right. And
it's so nice.
We don't rank anybody who works in the warehouse. We're warehouse people at heart. You know what I mean?
Literally.
I'm a warehouse guy. Like, I love joking around. I love having fun. I always saw it as kind of like school without the learning. You know what I mean? But the physical work. You get paid to work out while you laugh with your buddies. Mm-hmm. But you do meet some absurd people. You're like, whoa.
I got some stories about some people.
You want to tell us one?
There's one lady who like talks about her dog like it's like a human child, and like I thought it was a kid at first because like I didn't know she had a dog, and then she was like, yeah, because I was like, oh, who's the booster seat for in the back of your car? And she's like, that's for my dog.
Stop it.
She was like talking about this dog that was a fucking kid. I was like, oh, your kid sounds cute, and she's like, that's my dog. I'm like,
what the fuck?
Well, then who's the booster seat for? And she's like, my dog.
That's crazy.
And I'm like, oh.
Nah, you gotta get the fuck up out of there. that's different.
So bad.
I don't know. She invites you into the passenger seat. She's like, maybe we could parent it together.
She was talking about this dog for like 8 hours one day. I was just like, killing me.
You know what's so funny? I and I still do judge it because it's funny. But my cousin, she's like that. She looks after her dog like it's her own, and it is her dog, but like she'll be like...
She takes it a little too far.
Yeah, like, oh, mommy's coming and stuff like that.
Yeah, dogs can't really hear what you're saying.
But the thing is, she wasn't able to have kids. So when I heard about that, when she told me about that, which I don't know if she really wants that put out there, but we're here now.
I really just unsay that.
Right.
We're not doing take 4.
Bleep it out.
We're just saying everything.
All right, take 6. But yeah, no, she told me that, and I started to feel a little bit bad. I'm like, I'm kind of an asshole. You know what I mean? Because I'm like ranking on her, calling like, oh, mommy's coming to you and stuff like that. It's still funny. It's still ridiculous. I don't laugh as much around her about it. You know what I mean? I try to just keep it in. But it is just like...
It's excessive.
Well, at least you're not dressing as the dog.
At least she doesn't act like the dog's her boyfriend or something. Mm-hmm. So at least she's not acting like the dog's her boyfriend or something.
There's some people like that.
I know.
Like, or people... Remember that dude on My Strangest Addictions who was having sex? Yeah, everybody knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah, this guy had like sex with his car. It was crazy.
It was crazy. He was under
it, and he was like kissing, like the grill of it, and just like kissing it. I think he was like fingering the exhaust.
Stop.
It was
Me and Domenic,
weird.
I don't know if we were intoxicated at the time.
No, we were sober.
Okay, I will tell you, we wouldn't need to be because that shit was
that was crazy.
That was too funny.
We thought it's like, oh, this is gonna be like a funny show, and we just see that, and we're like, what the fuck?
I think we were actually watching My Strangest Addictions, like the compilation.
Yeah,
of just the most ridiculous.
They were watching like sex somebody to the ER. Where it was like that giant fat dude who like put his like girlfriend's like head through the fucking wall.
What? Whoa! I don't remember this.
Yeah, we were watching that. It was like sex somebody to the ER.
You said this dude who...
This dude was like this big. Like, I guess he went to like thrust and like the girlfriend's head went like right through the fucking drywall.
Wait.
And gave her a concussion.
He was hitting her from the back and she was flying.
And she was like laying on her back. He like
it's even worse.
And she went BAM!
He's like, I'll make eye contact with you until you make eye contact with that wall.
It was fucking crazy.
That's crazy.
Yeah, we were watching that.
I don't remember that.
I think it was like the first or
I think
episode.
you were watching that.
No, you were there with me.
Dominic, I don't think I was. I think this is one of your imaginary things. You're telling me you had her legs wide open and he was thrusting?
And this dude was like the size of fucking, I don't know, like a fucking sumo.
And he just... Well, she should have known.
She should have known the dangers.
You should, exactly. You know.
It's like a landslide if he fell on top of you. I'm just saying. She would have died.
Right. Well, did she sue?
It was her boyfriend. No, she didn't sue.
That'd be ridiculous.
I know.
You know what? Want to speak of warehouse? Shout out to my Amazon folks, because I know a lot of you guys watch this podcast, which I appreciate. I appreciate everyone who watches the podcast. Let's shout out people. Yeah, I appreciate you guys. You guys, we love you guys. I don't know about Dominic. I love you guys. I think you guys are great. And we do sincerely appreciate all your love and support. Back to what I was saying about Amazon. So a lot of the people who watch this will know what I'm talking about. There's this dude from a department at Amazon who was on his break with his girl, okay? Mind you, his ex showed up on his break and started to cause a ruckus. And instead of being reasonable and be like, hey bitch, get the fuck out of here, I'm with my girl right now and leave me alone forever, he didn't do that. He beat her up in the parking lot. And then it gets even better. This is ridiculous, okay? He beats her up, and then his girlfriend at the time tries to intervene, and he kicks the shit out of her too. I'm not even playing. And you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm not even playing. He kicks the shit out of her too. And then after that, this dude tries to intervene, and he kicks the shit out of him. I'm like, this dude's just taking on all comers. Have you ever seen Trevor in Rage Mode from GTA 5?
Yeah.
That's
like
what it
that
was
scene in
like.
the movie where the dude like slaps everyone in the fucking cookout.
Oh, like, yeah. The slap. I think that's what it's called, just the slap or something like that, yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. So, but that's...
fighting everybody like it's fucking like stages in like a fucking video game.
Oh, that'd be crazy if he was...
Level 1.
Final boss. No, but you know where he was? At a warehouse. He was... It just all comes back full circle. But yeah, so warehouses, definitely work in them, have fun with them because...
They're a blast.
They are, seriously. You need the coolest people, and, you know, I mean, you'll be working hard labor. Like, I remember when I was working at UPS, they didn't care about safety. They said they cared about safety. They didn't care about safety at all. Like we had a union steward that would come in once a month to, like, look at everything. And mind you, like, the hours we would work, we'd usually work 3 a.m. until the job was finished. So sometimes it was 8, sometimes it was 11. Like, other days it was 11 o'clock. And keep in mind, you're in a truck just throwing boxes and boxes and boxes for like 5, 6, 7 hours straight. So you're tired of shit. So when union stewards come in and they see that you're exhausted and you're still throwing up the same amount like 6 or 7 hours later, you know, they look at it and they should be like, hey, you know, like, you need a break or anything like that?
All right, keep going. You're almost there.
Well, they don't even look. they look at it and then they don't even address it and they just walk away. It's like, dude, where the fuck are you going? It's like if a police officer saw a dude get shot and I was like, huh. Oh. And just fucking just...
What's over there?
Officer.
That guy's leaking something.
Right. Get up.
Why aren't you moving?
Have you ever wanted to become a cop?
When I was like younger.
Like a firefighter or a cop?
Yeah, like cop.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not a firefighter?
No.
What about ER guy? Like a person, medic?
Like an EMT? No.
EMT?
No.
I feel like EMTs, shout out to those guys, because those guys go through some shit.
They've seen some shit.
And they have to see that like 5 days a week. You know what I mean? Like sometimes.
Like every day.
Right.
Each day will be worse than the last two. You never know.
I'm not saying that cops and firefighters aren't like they don't do dangerous jobs. You guys don't. No, I'm just kidding. No, you guys, they do dangerous jobs, but that's obvious. Right. But EMTs, think about it. Like, it's not dangerous in the sense of like physically.
It's just like psychologically like scarring.
Not that it can't be, but like yeah, exactly. Psychologically, takes a toll.
It's a lot tougher on the mind than
Right.
certain other jobs like that.
Right. Especially when
responders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it was funny. I saw a comedian tell a joke. Bill Burr was the comedian. He was like, I hate when they say we'd like to thank our first responders because I called you about the crime. So what does that make me? And he was just basically joking. He's like, I'm the first responder. I'm the one who saw it and gave you guys the phone call. Like, but yeah, no. There's a lot of first responders and people who deal with all of that in general, like, taking care of people, nurses, doctors, having to do like surgeons, having to do like emergency surgeries. It's like, as much physically as you are capable of doing that, and as much as you need to know to do that, you also need to be mentally more fortified to do something like that. Because if you're not, you get fucked up. You're like, oh my god, I can't believe it. Like, imagine that. Imagine cutting open some dude's fucking leg, you know what I mean? And this man's about to lose it if you don't do it correctly.
You accidentally artery. It's like, oh no, they're gonna bleed out now.
You got them Doctor Strange hands.
Get the Google. How do you do this? Takes out his phone for Google.
Slap that baby right there. All right.
Midway into surgery, just get the fucking like Wikipedia.
Takes out his laptop. All right, let's see. It makes the Windows noise, and he's like, it has to power on first. I mean, the man's he's dying, but
The heart rate monitor's like the window shutting down sound effect.
Stop. Just give me a second. It's like, why are you talking to the monitor? Like, what the fuck?
That's great.
Yeah, I could never do that job. I'm a pussy. When it comes to like blood and like fucking gore and shit like that, like I can see it on TV. But if I walked down the street and I just saw this dude with his leg missing, you know what I mean? He like got it blown off or something like that. That shit would wreck me for a few days.
Like an old and shit.
Yeah, it would still help. But like at the same time, I'm not gonna lie, I'd probably deal with some psychological like, whoa. Because you could see shit in movies.
Yeah,
like there was a house
in real life, you're like, what the fuck?
Have you ever seen a house fire in real life?
I feel like I've seen parts of it. So I remember like, no, not a house fire. I saw a car fire.
Mm-hmm.
Like a car was like scorched. There's like 4 or 5 cop like cars, like 2 ambulances and like a giant fire truck.
And you said that it was like torched.
You could like see like it was like pitch black out. It lit up the entire fucking street.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, some car fires be getting crazy like that. I remember I was once coming back from a sushi place. And an apartment building a couple streets down ended up getting set on fire. And I was coming back just as the house fire happened. And thank God everybody was able to get out safely. Like the family, I believe, was outside watching. I don't think there was anybody still in. But it was not, I don't want to say cool, because it's not like someone would be like, that's awesome. But it was. It really was. Like when you think about it, like, okay. You be watching like movies or like TV or anything like that, and you see something like that, you're like, oh shit.
They see it in real life, you're like, oh shit.
Right. You're like, that's kind of crazy. You know what I mean? Like, let's just say that you see like an airplane like land in real life in compared to watching a movie. You know what I mean? Or like military helicopters, which sometimes come over.
Pretty cool.
Sounds loud as shit though. Like it shakes your car. You're like, Jesus Christ. Are we?
It's still pretty cool.
We getting bombed right now? Like, what's going on? Are you concerned now? Because I feel like a lot of people who are older, and there are a lot of younger progressive people that I know about. Shout out Zach Zanoni. I know that he's doing a lot of good work in Enfield, and he's very, very much into politics. Probably one of the most progressive people I know who are our age that graduated with us. But do you ever think about like politics in general, or do you kind of keep your mind out of it?
I still think about it. But like, nah, it doesn't like control me like some people.
You know what's crazy? The reason why I asked you that is because for me, I don't think about it ever. And it's weird because when you don't think about anything ever, you're like, and people are trying to morally push it on you in a sense, be like, you have to think about it. I mean, get it? Yes.
It depends on what subcategory of politics you gotta think about.
Right.
Because like I work warehouse, like blue collar, you gotta think of like the infrastructure. You gotta think
that's a good point.
Which administration's in office right now, you gotta see what they're actually doing to help us? What are they doing to fuck us over?
Mm.
If they fuck us over, this is what's going to happen to us. We're going to be the first ones cut.
I think from the subcategory standpoint, that has been probably the biggest thing as far as me not thinking about it, is because there's so much of it. You know what I mean? Imagine if someone was like, hey, how about you get into Dragon Ball Z? Well, where the fuck do I even start? You know what I mean? It's like, it's so much, you don't know where you should. Now, obviously, you have morals and stuff that kind of align with, you know, some political views and stuff like that. But I've just found that regardless of whoever's in office, whatever administration's in office, whoever's president, it just generally, everybody bitches. It doesn't matter. It really
You're going to piss someone off no matter what.
Right, exactly. And I'm not saying that, you know, our guy Joe Biden's doing hot right now or anything like that. But in general, you know, politicians are just politicians, bro. You know what I mean? It's like
they're all in it for their own.
There's a face. The president is a face, I feel. I don't think he makes a lot of the decisions that I think he can help. But, like, to make fully, like, I'm doing this today, that's not how it works. It has to go through Congress, it has to go through the Supreme Court.
Unless he does an executive order, but he can only, like, do that for, like, certain stuff. He can't just be like, oh, they said no, it's an executive order now.
Right. I saw, it was funny, too, because speaking of, we were just talking about Bill Burr, I saw him talking about it. He was like, listen, he was like, this is how little it matters that it was like, who's the president? He was like, are you able to make your own sandwich the next morning? Perfect. You know, is there anything like, are you able to drive your car to the grocery store, go to work and do all that? Great. And I'm not saying that, you know, the administration or the current state of our country doesn't like affect that. Obviously it does.
Yeah,
but
like they could affect like how trading goes, how, you know, peace talks go, how conflict can either escalate or de-escalate.
Mm-hmm.
So they have a lot of like control for that. Like, they can control, like, stuff up here, but not stuff down here.
Mm.
We control up to here, they control that much.
Right.
So.
Well, and I think that's, you know, speaking of control, the best way I feel as if you can take control fully of your life, at least from a financial standpoint, is if you have any credit card debt, or you have any debt in general, or loan or whatever, pay it off as soon as possible.
So then they can't hold that over you.
That is the biggest investment you can make. You know what I mean? You can make investments on it.
Unless your credit too.
Unless you have debt for an asset. Like if I pulled out a loan to try to get an apartment and rent it out as an Airbnb, try to get a house and, you know what I mean? I fixed it up, flipped it and gave it to some couple or whatever, that's different.
Right.
But if you're like paying just, like credit cards especially. Like
people like lose control of credit cards. Say like two cards out next to each other, like $50,000 in debt.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's like, oh shit, how did I do that? It's like,
I remember
you can't control yourself. That's the issue.
For the longest time, I did have trouble with that with credit card control, just because it was all there. You know what I mean? You had like $5, $6, $7 grand just worth of credit cards. You know what I mean? Right. It's not even on you. Like so. I get the want and the urge to do it, but what has been the most pivotal switch in the way that I do things now, especially from a financial point of view, is just paying them bad boys off, using them to up your credit, sure, but just getting them out of the way. Mm-hmm. Because it's like if you just let them linger and build up over time, not only can they potentially build up interest, but you know your credit score can go down as it goes up, right? Let's just say you pay off your car loan, and then all of a sudden you have all this credit debt in this credit card. You know what I mean? You might
see, you know, Chris is going to go down.
Well, you might have been able to go up 20 points, and now you only went up 10. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because you know, and it also depends on your debt to income ratio, which I never really even thought about. When you're taking out a loan, they look at that. You know what I mean? Like how much are you making, and how much could you
spending or whatnot?
Right, exactly. Because it's like
so you gotta be like, oh, you make $50,000, but you're pissing away $45,000.
Mm-hmm. We're
not going to give you the loan because you're only bringing home $5,000 a year.
Right,
and
we know you're not going to pay us that money. You know what I mean? We know you're not the $45,000 that was getting pissed away. Mm-hmm. We know you're not going to pay us that money either because you could say it went to rent and went to the
just
car.
Keep collecting and adding interest. Next thing you know, your loan for $50,000 is like $100,000 just from interest.
Right. The reason why I brought that up is because Elon Musk said that like on like a clip that I was watching on YouTube that I thought was interesting. The fact that he's like the biggest, and this is the richest dude, you know, on the planet. Now, do we know that for sure? Because them Saudi Arabian...
It's always changing every day.
Did you hear a theory about the, like, Saudi Arabian, like, I don't know much about it, but, like, the family, basically, how they're just trillions and trillions. Maybe it's not Saudi Arabia, maybe it's Dubai. But one of the two families, somewhere in the Middle East, there's, like, a huge family, and they could potentially be trillionaires. We just don't know. And so, because they're able to put cities together...
They're building one now in, like, the middle of the ocean. A city out of fucking nowhere.
Yeah, you're gonna need a little bit more than a couple $1 million to do that. To be like, yes, that. Imagine having that much money though.
Like they're building it from fucking nothing.
Right.
It's nuts.
Just on an island.
It's like I think they put like the sand down and everything to like raise it up, so it's gonna be like a whole like.
They made the island.
I think they made it. Yeah.
There's so many islands like you can buy.
Built this whole fucking thing.
I mean, I guess from a tectonic standpoint, it makes sense because you don't. But even if there's an earthquake, that shit's gonna shake regardless. So that doesn't make any sense either. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, unless they want it perfectly.
You gotta have some serious money to like throw away for that.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Imagine like being on a helicopter and you have so much money where you're like, yeah, that island, I'm gonna buy it.
Yep.
As a matter of fact, fly me down right now. I'm gonna find the owner. Like the owner's just walking around like.
He's not like a for sale sign on it. Like, I'll take it.
Like property, like like Coldwell Banking. Just a sign on one of the Bahama Islands.
It's like Castaway. You see Tom Hanks on the island. He's like, "Are you guys here to help?" He's like, "Nah, we're just here to build a Starbucks
and steal that volleyball." We're taking it.
Like, that's on the island. That belongs to me.
Would
like,
you?
But Wilson's my friend.
He's like, "Give him back." He swims after us as we fly away. It's like, "You're gonna be doing. I know you ran across the country, dude, but you're gonna do
a lot longer."
Right. But I was gonna ask, did you ever wanna like be in a movie or anything like that?
Maybe.
For you?
Thought about it.
Because I remember when we were younger, you wanted to be a film director and you wanted to, kind of. You were a good writer.
I still got some stuff that I like write out.
You just totally present it, man.
Maybe. I got some like stuff written for like scripts and whatnot that I got like not like spin-offs but like stories that like tie into it.
Mm-hmm.
But like I really wouldn't say they're spin-offs. I'm like, because to me a spin-off's like you have the story and it branches off separately.
Like John Wick and The Continental.
Yeah.
Continental is a fire show.
Continental's a pretty good show.
Mm-hmm. Fire show.
But like, instead of like going and branching out with these stories, like branch in to make it the one story.
Okay.
So they're like prequel spin-offs, but like not really prequels, or they take place during at the same time from like a different perspective.
Okay.
So
and that there's nothing wrong with that because you're
it's
not
like what movie? Take like A Quiet Place for example.
Right.
You're focused on like one group of people. When I can have a story focus on someone else. Like how in the second one they have like all these other people and it just ties into like that one point.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that.
I think that's also better from a writing perspective because when you sit down to write something out, I feel as if like in the specific sense of writing a movie or maybe even a book, it's hard to kind of come up with a new idea, right?
Right.
Like everything that you've done has been done before.
Right.
It's all about what you're doing and what you're bringing to the table.
What you're making to make it different in your own.
Exactly.
Because like, you could just rehash the exact same story, which is really what Hollywood's doing. They're literally making
over and over.
They're making a new scary movie, which is literally a parody of movies. They're making a parody of movies.
That's crazy.
They're so fucking stupid.
That's too much. When's that supposed to come out?
I think 2025, 2026.
They already had the Halloween series, so I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what they're doing.
So
That trilogy of Halloween movies, where the first one was pretty okay.
First one was good. Second one, third one, no.
Third one,
Halloween Ends was just not it.
Spoiler alert for Halloween.
Literally, 2 months after that one comes out, Miramax bought the rights to Halloween, so now we're getting a new, trilogy and a TV show. We're getting like a whole Halloween cinematic universe now.
There's no way they made enough money off of that trilogy.
Someone bought the rights to the franchise though, and they know that that's going to sell.
Yeah, I feel like that's too much though.
Yeah.
Because that's like 16, we're like 13 to 16 movies in that ballpark.
We're 13.
That's crazy. It's like that's more than Fast and Furious. At least Fast and Furious has stayed the same.
It's just one story in like different parts.
Right.
This is like, oh, first one, second one, anthology, reboot, 1, 2, 3, reboot, 1, 2, 3, continuation of the first one.
Right. Yeah, and that's too much, and you're bouncing from that, like what you were saying as far as like you can't really reinvent something.
Right.
So when you're sitting down to write something, what you're doing is perfect because you're focusing on the writing aspect. Like, how can I make this concept different? You already have a concept in front of you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, it was like that sand thing that we were talking about earlier. Like, why would you build, you know what I mean? Just buy an island. Just buy an island, you know? Unless you really want it, particularly your own, then yeah, you can create a new concept. But aren't you focusing on breaking into the business? Aren't you focusing on the actual writing? If you're doing all that, there's no point in trying to create something new. Just go along with something you already know and make it yours, you know? So, but yeah, I feel like a lot of people, a lot of people have potential as far as like hobbies and stuff like that.
They could do it. It's just, do they really want to? Mm-hmm. Do they really want to commit to it? Mm-hmm. It's like some people just don't want to.
Right. Well, and some people just feel stuck, I feel, you know, because I felt like that for a long time, you know.
Like they'll be stuck on like, oh, here's point A, here's point maybe like H. Mm-hmm. So you have A through H, and they don't know really how to get from A to H. Mm-hmm. How about you take B, C, D, like all the other ones, and like tie that into that and just like connect it.
I agree.
It's like a web almost. Like you want to connect all the different parts.
Right.
You just want to go here to here, because how did you get from here to here? You have to go here and all that way.
Right. Well, and so basically what you're saying is like you can look at it from point A to H or point A to Z, but the best way to kind of look at life is point A to B, then B to C, and then C to D, and so on.
It's all those different steps.
Right.
Like if I'm writing something, it's like, yeah, here's how I want it to start, here's how I want it to end, but here's how I'm going to get to that point.
Right.
And if I have like an idea, I'll like write it down and be like, I can connect this here eventually down the road, and if it's good, I can connect that to like the story later on. Right. Like have like 2 or 3 throwaway lines, and it's like, oh shit, I remember that.
Right.
After like, you know, an hour or so into like the thing, you're like, fuck.
So, but you can always go back.
Yeah.
And retouch and touch up, you know? But at least you got there. You made the template.
Yeah. I think it doesn't have to be like polished right away, but it's like as long as it's there.
That's there. That's one of 2 things that most people are concerned with is like, how do I look at my life without looking in the past or looking too far forward, right? Mm-hmm. And it's like, well, focus on what you do today and focus on what you're doing tomorrow to make yourself better. You know, am I better today than I was yesterday? And then when tomorrow comes around,
how can I do it to amplify tomorrow? Exactly.
And I think that, you know, there are several quotes I can just recite right here, but one of the ones that I really enjoyed was have a day today that you're going to thank yourself tomorrow that you had. You know what I mean?
I usually do that too. I tell myself, oh, future me will thank you for doing this today.
Right. Because you're not in a situation in which you're kind of like, because people, when they get bored, people get weird, including myself. 100%. Like, if you're bored, you're just kind of in a weird mental state where you're like, oh, I don't really know what to do or where to go or how to handle this, you know? You just have a bunch of different thoughts that are kind of going through your mind. And then you start acting on those impulsively, some people, you know? So I feel like if you focus on what's ahead today, and that's going back to the beginning of the episode, stretching out your mental focus. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, you can focus for an hour on what you're doing, but can you focus for 2? Can you focus for 3? Maybe sometimes you gotta train it every day. Just focus 1 hour, 2 hours. Just build up over time. Right. And I think that's one of the things that people kind of really miss, and including myself. I'm still learning every day as far as like structure. And I think the second thing is caring about what other people think. Because guess what, you guys?
No one really cares.
Nobody gives a fuck. You know, I especially realized that in the last few months of having this new job. Nobody cares. And on top of that, too, nobody knows what you're doing or what you're going through or who you
really
are.
Don't want to know either.
Exactly.
They just want to do their thing, go home.
Exactly. If you think you're going to impress this person or you know, when I have that, I'm going to make sure that those people see me with that. It's like, they might.
You know, might. It's like, do they really care?
Right.
No, not really.
And you might make them have a bad thought or a bad hour. You know? And it's like, all of that is no, this is for you. You know what I mean? It's not for anybody else. So it's like nobody knows shit. Nobody gives a fuck. Nobody knows what you're doing or what you're trying to do. So just go for it, you know, because generally speaking, not only do people not care, but what even if they did, their input does not matter.
Right, and like they can have input, the next thing you know, you're doubting yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like not worth it.
Mm-hmm.
So I like to do like move in like silence.
Yeah.
Don't tell anyone what I do, and just like show them what I did.
I think on the flip side of that, I like that a lot because I do a lot of the same stuff, but I also kind of rely on a team too. And I think that building a team like-minded people, which is kind of what this Envision brand is, like we bring people on.
It is.
You know, it's like
help them out, show them like their talents. Not show them, but like, you know,
have them like
show
present
us.
it. Well, sometimes it is show them their talents. Like they talk to the camera and they're talking. When you say what you're doing out loud, it's much different than it sounds in your head.
Right.
You know, if I'm talking to you from like, you know, I'm a salesman, I do this, I go through this process. You know, if I tell you all the things I do,
like scripted.
It
so
can.
Like, I'm this, I do this, I do that.
It
but
can.
when you talk to someone, it's like there's passion and whatnot in it.
Right.
Like when you watch, like, oh hey, that guy's actually really passionate about it. Actually, like give them a look.
100%, yeah. And I think that though they also kind of compartmentalize in their brain of like, okay, so why am I doing this? You know, because I'll ask questions like that, like, oh, so what made you pursue
like,
this?
Feedback and stuff, and be like, hey, why do you do it? And they're like, I don't know.
Right.
I gotta think about that.
Right. He's like, that's a good question.
That's actually a really good idea.
Or they come up with an answer on the fly. They don't know if it's really true, and everybody's reasoning changes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like ambition versus greed, right? If you got something, you're gonna want more because people are like, oh, well, I'll be so happy when I hit this goal. It's like, no, happiness, I feel like, is found on the pursuit of the goal, right? Because
complacency is when you have it, you just don't want to move.
Right. Yeah, that's like you're talking about like a split difference, right?
A lot of people get complacent too with hobbies. Like you're saying, like focus like an hour or two. They'll do like an hour. It's like, oh yeah, I'm really good at this. They'll get complacent. They'll skip like a day or two. They're like, I can just do it.
Right.
One day turns into like 3 weeks. Next thing you know, it's like, oh, I don't remember how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Like you got complacent with it.
I had a couple days like that where so like 1 week I killed it. I was doing really good in sales. I think I closed like 4 or 5 or 6. One of the three. I think it was actually dead in the center 5. But it was like my best week so far, and I was really happy. And then so I took a couple days off and came back to it, and I'm just knowing that I'm not as sharp, even when I'm talking to people door to door, as I thought I would be. And it's like when you go back to it, I had to have a really honest conversation with myself and look in the mirror and be like, I am not as good as I think I am, right? Because if I was that good, I would have been able to take those 2 days off and, you know, come back in like it was nothing. But I didn't, you know, and I knew it was because I took those 2 days off. I didn't think about anything sales. I didn't do anything like that. I was focused either on this or on a part-time job or hanging out with friends, whatever the case may be. It's like you have to be honest with yourself. And I'm my own number one biggest critic, which is why when anyone says something to me, I'm always ears. You know what I mean? Like I'll talk and I'll conversate and I'll bounce ideas off of you and you bounce ideas off of me. But when you tell me an idea, like when we were outside, Domenic was showing me how to frame a coat hanger.
I'm more of the technical type of guy. I just listen.
Sure, you know I
really just listen.
That's a great ad. Well,
you know, like 13 years.
Yeah,
I'm more of the listening type.
Yeah, but you gave me.
I listen, but I give good feedback, so I don't talk as much.
He gave me a PowerPoint presentation outside. You guys.
I really did. I was like, you need to get a level for it. You need to get the hardware for it.
15 slides, pretty much.
So screw into like, yeah.
Screw into the wall. The stubs.
Yeah, the studs.
Or I said stubs. Studs.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I was thinking about you're a stud. Ooh, now you're a stub. You're a scrub. Get out of here. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, no, like when he was telling me about that, I was like, I was all ears. I was like, oh shit, I didn't know that. You know what I mean? Because I was thinking about getting Velcro for it, just because I don't think coats are that heavy. But
it's all the added weight though to it, and the Velcro itself is like, you can have it like adhesive like to the wall. It's like slapped on. So you have like 4 or 5 different coats on. There's in the pockets. Over time, that Velcro is just gonna, or the next thing you know,
right.
Like the thing might break or might damage, like
the floor or the radiator or something like that.
It's better just screw it in because that's like actually secured into the wall. And after you secure it, give it like a shake. Try to like see if it moves.
Right.
If it moves, tighten it.
Got you. Yeah, I'm gonna definitely when I eventually get my own, like get more of a place, like get a house and stuff like that, I'm gonna have to get rid of those like holes in the wall so I can get
You
my
can cover those up in like 2 seconds.
filling another hole. That's what we do best, right? Right? Mr. Adhesive. Why wasn't that on the PowerPoint slide? Why wasn't that? And just make sure you get your security deposit back. You might hit it out of the building, but that's fine. Like through the paneling on the outside of the place. But yeah, you know, it's like you have to be all ears. You have to listen to people, and that's what I try to do. You know, as much as
because like where like someone exceeds in like one category, you don't exceed.
Well, you've taught me that. You know, with the listening thing you just said. You know, being around you, oftentimes I find myself being more quiet just because, like you're talking and I'm trying to like hear you out. But then we'll have kind of moments of silence where we're just chilling and thinking.
Thinking about stuff, like processing.
And slowing down, like I said, you've helped me out with a bunch, you know, so I'd like to thank you for that. So it's like you have to not have that. I used to have that ego so badly, dude.
I know.
I wanted to be right.
I know.
I wanted to be right.
You would argue with me for fucking hours.
I wanted to be right, Domenic.
You would be like, fucking like screaming. I'm like, dude, you're wrong. You're like, no, I'm not.
I don't think it got to that.
And I'm like, dude.
Maybe once or twice it got to a screaming point, but it was just more like...
Who was right in the end?
Well, there
were times
13
like,
years of topics. I don't know. I wouldn't say you hit every single one.
I did a few.
You did? No,
I did a few, yeah.
100%. I just gave you your flowers and you just bought yourself a bouquet. You know that? My man just bought himself like a Stop and Shop cart of like fucking
wow. $2
roses.
It's like, I have an admirer.
Right. 2 compliments. All of a sudden he's on his high horse. He's like, I just, that's what I do. But no, I agree with you completely. Like, I think that there is the benefit of, you know, knowing you for 13 years, just learning from people around.
And like having like people from like different like, I was like backgrounds and stuff too for like friends especially. It's like, this guy's good with this stuff, this guy's good with that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But together, he teaches him this stuff, he teaches him that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have like both like sets of experience. And then they have more knowledge.
Mm-hmm. And it's building a team.
Yeah.
You know, get a group of people, get around a group of people that are like-minded.
You don't even have to be like like-minded completely.
No.
Like, if you guys work together as a team.
Right, and specifically like-minded in the sense of like we
all
all
have like the same goal.
We all want
different ways of like getting to it.
Right, we all want to move forward, and I think, you know, there's obviously very specific people for that, right? Like you can go, I can see a salesman who's making like 10 times what I'm making. I'm like, I want to talk to that guy because he probably knows some shit that I don't. You know what I mean? There's a reason why he's able to get into doors that I'm not. So it's like indoors. That's what people can unlock for you. It's like you don't have to do everything on your own. Like so stubbornly, I was always like that. Where I'm like, I have to do everything on my own. Like I can't let anyone help. But letting people help me has been the really only way that I've seriously elevated the way I live and who I am mentally, physically, and, you know, emotionally.
So you gotta take a step back, be like, oh, I don't actually have it sometimes.
Right.
Like other people might have it for me.
Honest conversation, man. I'm not as good as I think I am. So I gotta get that right out of my head, and I just gotta go back to the drawing board and figure it out. And sometimes it was funny, we had a sales call yesterday, and one of the guys was like, man, it's just so tiring. And I'm like, I know, because like sometimes I go back to my car and I'm just sitting in there. I'm like, oh my God, I don't want to work this street. I just want to go home and go to bed, you know, but you do it. And that's another thing. That was one of the best pieces of advice I've gotten. It could be in sales, it could be in whatever you guys do for hobbies, work. If you guys are trying to move up anywhere, you know, run towards pressure.
Right.
Honestly, run towards pressure. If I see a group of people, you know, like there was a house party earlier today that I tried to sell to or I pitched to, right? And did it go swimmingly? No, right? It's a house party. People are fucking partying. They don't want to hear from the internet, you know, douchebag, you know what I mean? That's working the street. But it was the idea that I went there. You know what I mean? And I'm running towards pressure, just like at your job. If there's a promotion, there was a promotion.
There is still. There's only 4 people that applied for it. I'm one of them.
1 out of 4.
1 out of 4.
But if you were to think negatively in the sense of like, well, I only have a 25% chance of getting through, so you would be 0 out of 4 right now. You know?
I was saying too, I'm the youngest in the company, so I'm like to myself and to my boss I was talking to, I was like, somewhat at a disadvantage.
Mm.
And he's like, just looks at me, he's like, no, you're not. I'm like, okay. He's like, yeah, you're the youngest in the company. He's like, but you're showing upper management. Yeah, you're like basically new here, but you have a lot more to offer than just sitting down here all day.
Yeah, 100%. So, and I think though.
And he was like, even if you don't get it, he's like, I'm gonna train you, so that way when like another spot opens, you're probably able to get it.
Right, and that's a great example of you running towards pressure.
Yeah.
Because even though you voiced your opinion about, you know, you kind of being insecure that you were the youngest person in the company, you still voiced it, and you had that smooth, like smoothing over the waters conversation with your bosses about it, and that hyped your confidence. Well, if you didn't put that out there or you didn't say anything, then nothing would have happened. You know, so it's like it is about running towards pressure and kind of, you know, making life your own. You know, you really do. You have one life, and it's so fucking short. I was looking at memories in my phone from like 5 or 6 years ago. I'm like, that's crazy.
It doesn't feel like it was like that long ago either.
It feels like it was like last week.
Yeah.
You know, sincerely. And I'm like, Jesus
I was
Christ.
looking at pictures too. I was like, that's fucking 2017. I'm like,
yeah.
I was like, oh, that's not like 2-3 years ago. They're like, no, that's more like 7 years ago. I was like, what?
I'm telling you, it flies, man.
Flew.
Like we graduated 4 years ago.
Yeah.
We went through high school twice. That's what we did. Like we could have gone to high school another time, you know. And in that, like I said, feels like last week or last month, you know. So it's like
it doesn't feel like it was 4 years ago.
Right, time be flying like crazy. I remember when we graduated during COVID. How amazing was that? Domenic, you want to tell us how amazing it was?
I hated it.
He loved it.
I hated it.
He actually specifically, before COVID even was a thing, he wanted the drive-through graduation. That was his idea, you know?
Oh, yeah.
100%. He was like, listen, all the other kids, they can walk up. I would like to be driven through.
It's gonna be like a fucking like golf cart. It's like plowing through every part.
That's criminal, dude. I'd like to hit everybody at my graduation with a golf cart. Why a golf cart?
Yeah, well, why not?
Some WWE shit. What's going on?
Just saying.
But yeah, you know, like I agree with you, man. It's like
it's crazy.
Back in COVID, that shit was.
We thought that was gonna be like forever. We're like, oh, this is like the new normal. It still kind of is.
It was normal for 3 months.
Yeah, it was normal, like hardcore normal. Now it's just like, not like, oh, this is what we have to do every day. It's like, oh, that was a thing.
Right. You remember my shout out to my gym gurus. You guys remember when we had to go into the gym and you would get on the treadmill, you might get under a bar, you might do whatever, you might go to a squat rack, but regardless, you had to wear the fucking masks.
I remember that shit.
Oh my god.
I saw like people like, why am I gonna run like 3 miles on a treadmill with a fucking mask on?
Right. Yeah.
I'm like, that's actually stupid as fuck.
And it's terrible too because like when you're running or if you're doing any sort of cardiovascular training, it's different. Not different from lifting, but with lifting in the sense it's like more repetition. It is hard to breathe for sure. There is cardiovascular effects for lifting. But I specifically saw the trouble and felt the trouble because I wasn't really a lifter back then on like any sort of cardio machine. Because I would just be, the worst part about it is when you breathe, it sounds gross, but you breathe out of your mouth or your nose and you just spit like back into your nose and mouth and you're like, oh my god, this is terrible.
I remember having to work like 8 to 10 hours a day wearing a mask like that.
I remember that, yeah.
And it sucked. I was like...
Right. At the end, you felt like Bane.
Yeah.
Nobody cared about me.
It sucked.
Oh yeah, because your glasses were always
my breathing. I was like...
Tell us about because we were talking about this a few weeks ago, the 80-hour work weeks you did for like 3 or 4 months straight.
Oh, that was great. Was it just 3 months? Or was it longer?
I have no idea.
I felt like it was longer than 3 months.
Well, you did, yeah.
That felt fucking
You
forever.
lived it. Well, because both the jobs that you worked at the time, and I tell you guys this, it was a lot of patiently waiting. It was. You would walk around the store or at the convenience store, you'd be behind the counter.
It's like I'd be there for like 10 hours a day.
But that's mental endurance, man.
Yeah.
You had to have that, dude.
Yeah, like it's just me and like in early August, it's like 1 or 2 other people for like the entire day. Like they split between them two, like half and half. But me, I'm there the entire day. So I'm just like walking around, no one's in the store. just walking in circles for like 10 hours, right?
That is so boring.
And then like I'd go home 2-3 hours later, go to my other job, which was like another 8 hours of just standing there behind a counter.
Right. And people, and I feel like, and I didn't realize this again until I got into sales, how, because you look at somebody who's sitting in an office or sitting in a dealership or like walking around, not doing much. You know, he's not doing anything. He's probably chilling, enjoying his life. Maybe some of them are, but
I fucking hated life half the time.
Yeah, you start thinking, you know what I mean?
I fucking hated it. But now it's like, yeah, I could just sit there for like 10 hours, just not do anything.
Yeah, if you're
like used to it, it's like,
if you're working that type of job where you are more sedentary, you're standing, you're sitting a lot, and you have a lot of downtime too, I feel like the best thing you could do is just try to figure out, like study something,
right.
You know, or figure out how to put your day like ahead for tomorrow. You know what I mean? Set up your day for tomorrow. Set up not your life, but like set up a lot of the things you want to do. Or like I like listening to podcasts. That's actually one of the reasons why I started this, because I just enjoy listening to people spitball about stupid shit. You know, like so. You know, just kind of find a way to entertain yourself, but mentally. I mean, at least if you're in a warehouse, you'd be throwing stuff, you know what I mean? You can, like, scan shit. Like,
basically, yeah.
It's not as bad, you know? Yeah, those... I remember when we were working at UPS, or when I was working at UPS, it was, like, 3 in the morning. And during the summer, whoo, those trucks would be hot, bro. Those trucks were terrible, man.
That fucking sucks.
Like, my boss at the time, he was like, you know what I used to do? He's like, I'd bring a gallon of water, I'd freeze it, and then he's like, I'd bring it into work because it was so humid in the trucks. He's like, I'd leave it in the truck for maybe like half hour to an hour and it'd be melted, and I had my cool water. And I'm like, that's the weirdest shit I've ever heard.
Like a horrible life.
Right.
Like a horrible life.
Yeah.
Shit.
Thank God my water thawed. Like,
like,
that's
like 90 degrees by like 10 a.m. We're like, oh, I hate this water.
Right. It's like, that's what you're living for, dude? What's going on? Speaking of what's going on with the podcast? Where are we going? What are we doing?
I don't know. What are we doing?
Well,
we're doing stuff.
We're doing a lot of stuff.
We're doing a lot of stuff.
Well, first off, the first step is getting you.
First off, I'm back.
Yes,
Yeah.
100%.
I'm here to stay this time.
For 98.
They renewed my contract. I didn't think the studio would, to be honest with you.
We'll see. Studio.
It's more of like an appearance, you know.
This is like the Dollar General studio. This is like
it's like a one-show agreement at this point.
Right,
yeah.
Exactly. We'll see if he makes it.
If he's good, we'll bring him back next week.
Right.
It's just like a special guest appearance.
Right. We start seeing negative comments, be like, all right,
well, they're like, oh, fuck that guy. It's like, yeah, he can't be a series regular.
Right. Well,
it's like, oh, shit.
Wait till season 3. But yes, so one cool thing that I would like to bring to this brand would be the interviews. I think that those would be great. To either interview somebody like at a live show, whether it be at a comedy show, at a boxing match, at an MMA fight, at a pro wrestling show, at a concert. It doesn't matter. Concerts would be pretty sick. And especially if you get like media access and stuff like that. Like, I think that that's really where this Envision brand is going. And I think that at the end of the year, we'll definitely have, at least 5 or 6 solid interviews under our belt. And I think that expands the inventory of Envision Podcasting.
Right.
More than anything else.
We do like local talent. Cool. Do we do like statewide? Better.
But we're always here for the local talent. I think
locals are a priority.
100%. Because
like you get like big and it's like, oh yeah, we just want to interview like big people. It's like, no, you should like do like local. Well, so you shouldn't like forget like where you came from, you know. Give everyone a shot.
The majority of the people that we have on this have a bigger following than we do. Mm-hmm. You know, we're locals. We're locals just like you guys. That's why we love having people on here so we can spitball ideas and always talk and enjoy our time with you. And so that way you can kind of, compromise and figure out like, okay, what am I doing? Why do I want to do it? Like, where am I going? And how can we all build together to bring the podcast up? So I think that's the big plan for 2024 is to make this more from a podcast, take this from a podcast and bring it more into a brand.
That could work, yeah.
100%.
Like eventually, upgrade.
You gotta upgrade what you're wearing. I've already upgraded.
Bro, I'm just saying, I like literally gotta. This dude texts me at fucking like 2:20. He's like, can you come earlier than 4? I'm like, I'm clocking out in 2 minutes. I'll be over.
I had everything set up. I was excited.
I was gonna go home and change. We gotta come over sooner. I'm like, oh fuck, okay.
I was like that nagging act. Yeah, but you could have stopped at your house.
I could have.
You could have. It's a 2 minute, it's 2 minutes away. Like,
basically 2 minutes.
Stop it. But no, I think that, you know, obviously the first 10 episodes were great though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We had a consistent group of people that were on, and we still have tons of people lined up that I'm very excited to bring out. Whether you become like a designer, you're a graphic artist, you're a singer, you could be a bodybuilder, a hairstylist, it does not matter. We will have you on. We want to talk to you. We want to hear what you guys have to say.
We like hearing different backgrounds,
right?
No matter what.
Right, and also like where you guys are going too. So, you know, it's all about envisioning, and I'm glad that we finally have you on. So,
finally,
yes, sir.
Fucking what, like 5 months later.
Yes.
Fuck second shift. Okay, second shift is fucking dog shit. You have no life on second. You either stay on first or third.
Second and
I got off with second.
third.
Third was actually really fun. I love third, but I'm on first now.
Yeah, but you're a night owl, dude.
I'm a night owl.
I have to be up at I usually get up at 5 or 6 in the morning.
I gotta get up at 4 a.m. every day.
Now, but beforehand you didn't. That's why you were popping off with night shift. You were chilling. You were like,
I love night shift.
He's like, I can sleep whenever I want. He probably had the blackout curtains.
I did.
Yeah.
I had the blackout curtains. I'm like, oh, this is great.
I just go to bed.
It's like, oh, I go to bed regular time. I just go to work.
Right.
Have the entire day, do whatever the fuck I want.
Right.
I love this.
He said, I'm relaxing. And he's
I'm
like,
well, I'm at work, nothing's open.
While everybody else is a zombie, like, oh my god.
Everyone was like dying, like falling asleep. I'm like, guys, why are you so like tired? They're like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, leave me alone.
And I was like, hey guys.
And it's like right back, full circle. The warehouse guys, you know what I mean? You think they're bad during first shift. I've worked a third shift.
Third shift is a fucking different breed.
They're even
fun.
Yeah,
they're fun.
Depending on where you work.
Depends on the job, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
They're fun.
Yeah, if you meet, like, you can't go to a Valero gas station, you're like, man, she was so great. I mean, you could, but, like, you know.
You go to Valero at, like, 3 a.m., you're going to see some sketchy people, I'm just saying.
Why are you at Valero at 3 a.m.?
I don't know, I'm just saying.
Are you going to meet these sketchy people?
Yeah, maybe.
Like, he was like, I was going to drive past you guys, but I actually wanted to see, like.
We met on MySpace, so we had to go.
That's crazy. I think you and, like, 9 grandmas,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
MySpace is.
Nationwide are the only ones that use this service. But I was going to say, so welcome back to the podcast, Domenic. Fist me. You like that. You're into that. See, you're the one holding it. You're holding it longer than... See, I'm a person that I'm open to taking it, but he's a person, he won't give up. This is all him. Make a heart.
I have an iron will.
Disney, that's not good.
No.
If you drop the soap in prison, I'll tell you guys, I have an iron will, alright?
I drop it, like, pick it up. But you drop it, like, pick it up.
Stop. That's the worst. That is the worst way. That's why Domenic wasn't successful until he has the girlfriend he has now. Because he would just go up to women and be like, I have an iron will when it comes to relationships. And he's like, I got a tire iron as well. Like, but yes, it's great to have you back and everything. We got plenty more episodes coming. We're going to be running
more episodes.
What?
So many more episodes.
So many more laughs, good times. Get to 100, get to 1,000. We're going to do this weekly. Doesn't matter if it's just us. It doesn't matter if it's us and, you know what I mean?
Someone
5.
else.
Right.
Or just Jacob and someone else, or just me and someone else.
Yeah, exactly. It could be like that. It could be me and a horse. I'm just saying, we could have like
It's going to be me and a sheep.
Stop. You get all the farm animals.
We have like an interview at a like petting zoo.
We get them from Andy. Shout out Andy.
Andy.
Farmer. But
and
yes.
Like a fucking like chicken, be like, so what do you do for a living? Lays an egg. It's like, oh, nice.
It's like, all right, cool. I'm gonna grab the air fryer real quick. You're sick. That's gross. I don't want to imagine. That would be terrible. I think
horrible.
We would lose everybody.
We would get
If we
canceled. We would actually get canceled.
We air fried a chicken live.
It's like, Mark, we get Popeyes. We got Popeyes at home.
Why go to the drive-thru?
We've got the air fryer.
Put a little canola oil on that. Throw it in.
Like fucking seasoning. It's like, oh yeah, that's good. Still got the fucking feathers and everything.
I'm telling he's coming out of the air fryer. He's a sick fuck.
I didn't say nothing.
You're a sick
I
person.
didn't say nothing.
This is true. We came up with that together. We're sick people.
We are.
But we're sick people that are here to bring you the best of entertainment when it comes to Connecticut, Massachusetts. This whole area is filled with so much talent that nobody knows about. Right. And so we'll definitely be coming out with some more stuff. But until that point, you guys, stay healthy. We love you guys. And let's keep doing the show rolling.
Time.
Yes, sir. Oh.